What is going on, guys? It is your boy Stab, and today we are back with week 2 of the NPCC. I know this game is really late. Every time I go to record it, I want to record it and then I kind of put it off and then I forget. But we are finally getting the battle recorded and in the books, and it was a really fun week. But we are taking on, as you will see, the New York Noiverns and Jake. Jake's a really cool guy. Does some quality narrations. Please go check him out. I'll link to his channel as well as his side of the battle will be in the description once this goes up. He is rocking a very scary team. He does have a Cartana, which is a very big threat offensively, and then he also has Chandelure and Flygon, two things that I personally don't like, so they usually destroy me. Real quick, his team should be on the screen up here next to mine. If you don't know my team is right there as well. We have Cartana, Road Wash, Chandelure, Togekiss, Flygon, Mesprit, Hitmonlee, Drapion, Armaldo, Lycanroc, Day form, the better and only one you should ever use, and then Elevani for Sticky Webs and kind of Grass, but not. His Z move users are Chandelure, Flygon, and Lycanroc. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into the battle. Big shout out to my boy Bird for helping me with this team as usual. Bird's a really good team builder, guys. I like that man a lot. His link will be in the description as well as a shout out. Moving on, we will be back on the battlefield in just a second here. Here we are with the battle, and as you can see, Jake brought... his name is Nate. I don't know why I keep calling him Jake. Nate brought a pretty much... exactly what I thought he might bring. I thought he might bring Flygon instead of the Mesprit, but other than that, this is pretty much the exact team that I predicted. My team this week, we got a Selfless Superior with messed up Hidden Power. It's supposed to be Hidden Power Ground, I believe, but it ended up being Hidden Power Dragon, and I guess when I mess with the, when I change it from level 50 to level 100, or vice versa, I should say, it messes with Hidden Power somehow, so I got to be careful with that for future weeks. Anyway, we got Sticky Web Galvantula with 3 attacks, the normal set, a physically defensive Weezing with Shadow Ball and Will-O-Wisp, a Silk Scarf, non-choice Diggersby, just because normal and Earthquake pretty much destroys the entire team. We got a Mew. What is Mew? Mew, I believe, is defensive. Yeah, I think it's defensive Mew. And then we have a Choice Scarf, Hydra in the back there, looking like a massive win con. If I can get rid of things like the Togekiss, I should be in a very good position. We do have a Selfless Superior that can actually take that on, which is kind of cool. Other than that, looking at his team, I expect a physically defensive Rotom to take on my Diggersby. Lycanroc is either some offensive like Life Orb variant fast, possibly Swords Dance, or just a Focus Sash lead with Stealth Rock. If Mesprit could be the Stealth Rocker as well, that's probably an offensive set. I'm expecting Colbur Berry just because I do have Hydra and I do have things that have dark coverage like Knockoff and Diggersby, so I do expect a maybe bulkier Mesprit, but still pretty heavily invested in offenses to kind of break holds my team and survive dark attacks. His Chandelure could be literally anything. It could be his Zmon, it could be a Troy Specs variant, it could be some sub offensive Calm Mind thing. Cartana, I fully expect to be Scarf. It outspeeds my entire team. Can get some Beast Boost attack raises and then start going ham. Looking at the rest of his team, he's definitely default Togekiss. I don't know if he has any attack investment or if he's just like a specially defensive variant to maybe handle my Hydreigon, as I do get a lot of coverage for it and something to take on my Superior pretty well. Anyway, I decide to lead off with my Hydreigon for a couple reasons. Number one, if he leads off with Togekiss, predicting my Galvantula, I can pop it with a Flash Cannon, figure out what kind of set it is, and if he leads off with Lycanroc trying to get up his hazards, he'll be able to get up his hazards, but he'll be knocked down to his Sash, and I will outspeed because I'm Scarf, and I can take into Cell Rock pretty easily. Yeah, so periodically I'll be explaining my plays and pausing, but you guys should enjoy this game. It was a lot of fun, and here we go. So I do lead off my Hydreigon. As you're going to see, he leads off with his Lycanroc. This is good for me. I expect him to be just a Stealth Rock variant and try to get those up. He actually switches out. He He actually switches out as I'm going to go for the Flash Cannon here. He switches into Togekiss, and based on this damage, I definitely think this is just fully specially defensive. If it was anything physically defensive, it did a hell of a lot more, and if it's offensive, it pretty much died. So that's very good information to know, because now I know that I know that a Serperior can take this on if I need to do that. I am actually going to switch out here into my Diggersby. I figured the best thing he can do is go for Dazzling Gleam, and he actually goes for Dazzling Gleam. Unfortunately, he gets a crit, and that's pretty bad just because it would have done pretty much nothing otherwise, because it's definitely not offensively oriented, and I can pretty much hit this thing off with, whoops, my bad. Let's see if we can get to where we need to go. This should be good enough. Okay. So I decided to go for the knockoff, figuring out that since he's special defense, if I click return, I probably outspeed this, number one, and number two, return could kill it, or at least do a very, very massive amount of damage. And he needs this to, number one, deter my sticky webs, and number two, to take out my Serperior, which outside of Chandelure has a very, very good matchup against his team. So he does need that around still. And I'm going to go for the knockoff. I pretty much hit anything that he wants to go for. And if he predicts the normal move onto his Togekiss, I can pop that Chandelure with a knockoff and possibly kill it. He actually goes to Rotom. As you see from this damage, it does a lot, number one. Number two, I knock off his Choice Scarf. Now this tells me a couple things. Number one, this is definitely offensively oriented Rotom Wash. He could have Will-O-Wisp still. He could have some status move, but he is designed to be able to hit my team pretty hard. And number two, and more importantly, I can't follow this up with a return because there's a good chance that he does outspeed my Diggersby. What I decided to do is just go hard into my Serperior. I can take any hit he wants to go for and start firing off Leaf Storms. He doesn't really have many switches to those. And as you'll see right here, he goes for the Thunder Wave, the Yellow Magic, and thankfully this gen, it actually does miss. This is pretty big because if he was able to land a Thunder Wave, I was in a pretty poor position just because I'd have nothing to outspeed it. Or losing speed on my Serperior was a very big deal, and really limits my ability to take this thing on as Togekiss comes back in, and just the offensive pressure that I put on his team is a lot less because I'm not as fast and I can potentially get paralyzed and worn down by either his Mesprit or just straight up dead from his Chandelure. He goes back into Togekiss, and like I said, this is especially defensive, so even though I go for a Leaf Storm, I get to +2. Kind of good though, because once you see the Air Slash not doing half, which we will in a second here, as I'm doing a quarter at +2, so I'm slowly racking up enough damage where I can actually beat this thing 1v1. He is going to get his Leftovers recovery, but it's not significant enough to make him live. Here, I just keep firing Leaf Storm. If he goes for Roost, fine. If he's switching to Kartana, I actually weaken that very well for later in the battle to be picked off by things like my Hydreigon, just because Kartana's special defense is ass. He does go for the Roost here. I'm going to go for the Giga Drain just to get back some more health. And I believe he Air Slashes this time. And because I'm still faster, he can't flinch me down. That's another boon to not being able to hit the Thunder Wave, is that he can't flinch my Snake down. Snake kills Togekiss 1v1, and I'm standing here at +6, so I know he has gotten the threat. He goes into Kartana. I know for a fact this has to be Scarfed, and he can pretty much go for any hit he wants and knock me out. So I'm going to go into my dedicated check to this thing. I say check because he could have the Cycle Cut, but I go into my physically defensive Weezing, and I am Rocky Helmet, so when he does a Smart Strike, he will take some damage. That is a thing that I actually remember just as this battle's beginning, that Smart Strike does make contact. So we're going to get a little bit of Rocky Helmet chip. Goal with this is basically to get him in a range where I can click Dark Pulse with my Hydreigon later in the game and knock this thing out really easily. The other benefit of his Togekiss going down so early is that now I'm in a position where I can get up my Sticky Web if I need to do that relatively easily against things like this. I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball, actually predicting the Mesprit to come in. That is my only attack, and he does go for the Thunder Wave. I don't need speed on my Weezing. I just need him to not get paralyzed. And I fire off a Toxic, which is great. I don't get paralyzed, and at least for Nate, he did land that attack, that Thunder Wave. So I guess it kind of works out. Not really, maybe. But now Mespert's on a timer. This is great if it's a bulkier, like Call Mine variant. I'm going to go into Galvantula because my sash is intact, and I can get up my Sticky Web really easily. I do outspeed him as he revealed the Thunder Wave, so I doubt he scarfed Thunder Wave. Yeah. So we get up Sticky Web, and this is great because other than Mesprit and Rotom, the rest of his team, which is most of his offensive threats, are all grounded, so they will all be affected by the Sticky Web. He just knocks me out with Psychic, takes a little bit more toxic damage. Great. I don't need Galvantula in this game. Anyway, now I can go on my Diggersby, and I can threaten something because he has very, very few switches to this, and the only thing we're worried about is if the Chandelure Scarf here, he makes an interesting play and he sacks off his Rotom. I don't know if I would have done that just because it was one of the only things on his team that was not affected by the Sticky Web, and because he was offensive, he could still do some damage with the Hydra Pump, with his move, maybe Discharge. He goes into his Chandelure here, and I just realized now that his teammates were like most of the sets that they were, but he actually goes for Inferno Overdrive, meaning that he's not choiced, and he does knock out my Superior. I did watch his side of the battle. He did question why I sacked it off. But my win count in this game is Hydreigon and Diggersby, so I don't really need my Superior around. And I get to see a Z move. He probably should have gone for that earlier in the game or even saved it for later in the game, but at the same time, Sticky Web kind of influenced his play. So I understand why he did that, but I did sack off Superior intentionally, so it's not that big a deal. He does go out to his Mesprit here to sack it, and you're going to see he is Colbert Berry like I thought he might be, but because we got that clutch Toxic on him earlier, the poison damage will be enough to knock him out. This is great. I'm Scarf. I am a Dark Pulse. He brings in his Lycanroc. I do outspeed this, but I probably can't kill it, and it's probably focus sashed anyway, so even if I get off a massive hit, I can't kill it, obviously. And other thing is, this thing gets Brick Break. I don't want to take unnecessary damage in case I need to live a hit from Kartana for some reason. So I'm going to go out into Weezing, as he actually goes for the Rock Slide and misses. This was kind of really bad, just because he can now chip my Weezing down. He goes for Taunt here. I believe I just went for the Will-O-Wisp. Yeah, no, I went for Toxic. I went for Toxic trying to catch his Chandelure. But he goes for Rock Slide, and he actually gets the flinch. Maybe it makes up for the Thunder Wave miss. Not really. Doubtful. But he hits me down again. He does not get the flinch as I fire off the Shadow Ball and I break his sash. And I just go for Pain Split here. If he wants to kill me, great. Rock Slide will obviously kill me for this range, but he misses. This is the Rock Slide that matters because I'm able to go for the Pain Split, get a significant amount of health back, around 30 or 40%, and now I can keep my Weezing alive. Before I was sacking it, but because I got back up and healed, I can keep it around to get more chip damage on the Kartana if I need to. He goes for the Rock Slide, doesn't do anything to Diggersby, and I believe I just go for an Earthquake here. He has no more switch-ins, and I know I can take in a Cell Rock, especially since he's definitely not banded or even offensive, as there's no Life Orb recoil, which leads me to believe he was indeed just a Sash, like Rocks variant with Rock Slide. So now he goes into Kartana. Like I said, I'm fully expecting this to be Scarf. I believe I save my Diggersby, and I'm going to go hard into my Weezing just to get some more chip damage on his thing. And I'm actually at a range where I don't die to 1, so I am going to get 2 rounds of Rocky Helmet instead of 1 off on this Kartana. And now he's definitely in range of Hydreigon's Dark Pulse. He does get the attack raise, but he's at neutral speed and I'm Scarf, so at this range I can just click Dark Pulse twice and win this game. It was a really fun game. It was a really cool team to face and a really fun team to make. Good game to Nate. I was sorry about the Thunder Wave miss. That actually did matter, and I would have liked to see what would have happened in the game had that not happened. I feel like it would have been a very different match. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the battle, please leave a like, leave a comment if you so desire. Subscribe if you have not done that yet. I'm starting to upload more league matches and things like that, and get back into the swing of things as far as uploading schedules. So there will be more content coming. Again, check out Nate Hillsby. His link will be in the description. And I believe that is all. Next week is week 3, and we take on, what's his name? Classic Gengar and the Orange County Mimikyus, maybe? I think that's the team name. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you next week. I'm Stab, and I'm out.